Becoming the silent witness from within is probably one of the most important tools that you will utilize on your journey of healing. And there is a plethora of modalities out there, some of which I have used myself that have greatly helped me heal aspects of my life. But none of them would have done that job if I hadn't chosen to amplify it with becoming what I also like to say is the observer. Observation of the self is one of the greatest tools that we can ever employ within our life to help us on this journey of evolving from where it is that we are currently right now as a humanity. And in fact, it's 100% necessary. If you're not using it as a tool to observe yourself from within, which is usually the egoic aspect, then chances are it's only going to be a matter of time that you're going to find yourself tied back up with the ego, where it's taking full control of your life. And so becoming the silent witness from within means that we are present with ourselves so that we can become the observer of the things that come up that we can identify quickly when they do as false. Many, many, many people in this world believe that if they have a thought, it's true. And they just are called to action right away, whatever it is that comes into their mind, because they believe that to be who it is that they are, that voice that constantly talks to them in the head all the time. And we all have it. There's no one out there that is exempt from the thoughts that come up that have trapped us into believing that whatever it is that we're thinking is who it is we are, that there's truth to that. Becoming the observer means that you recognize through your journey to heal that there are two aspects great at play: the deeper essence of who it is that you are, and the self made I, which is the ego. And the deeper essence of who it is that you are, for many centuries, has been shrouded in the darkness of this surface made I. And it is what is responsible for all of the things that we see that are taking place on earth, the egoic aspect of what seems to play into the manipulation, taking over people's rights and freedoms. It's greed. It's a never-ending source of what stems from what we have called evil within this world. And yet shining the light of observation by going within and becoming the silent witness helps us to not solve the problems necessarily outside of us, but helps us to take action and responsibility for how it is that we may be playing into what is happening outside of us. So, how does one become the observer from within, or the silent witness? Well, there are many different ways that you can take part in that. So if you currently are somebody who is not into meditating or finds it a struggle to do so, then you can take part in making presence, living in the now each and every day. When I first started, I started meditating and I loved meditating, but I didn't recognize while I was meditating what the observation aspect of it was. I hadn't delved into that part. It wasn't until I learned about the practice of presence that I started to recognize that there was something much deeper at play, and I could sense that. And I wasn't just choosing to be present in my day to day life. I made it a practice in such a way that, and I still do it pretty much every day, where I took part in being in nature for myself. I live very close to the ocean and I spend a lot of time down there. And I'm present with wherever it is that I am. If there's something that comes up for me within my head, I try and just let it go. I don't focus on it. I don't label it. I release it. My intent is to connect to the consciousness that resides outside of me, because connecting to that consciousness is the God consciousness. And my biggest concern is awakening the consciousness from within me that is connected to that. And when I do, it feels like spaciousness. It feels like the lines between who I am and what exists outside of me blur completely, making me feel like I have never felt more at one with what it is that I'm experiencing. Now, I've been also able to understand how I can take that now and bring it into my meditation. And my meditation, a lot of times, starts with prayer. Now, prayer is something that has been made open and available to all of us. You do not have to be a part of a religion. You don't have to have a special book where prayers are set forth for you, although if you want to, that is fine. And there's a lot of talk about people who say people pray wrong. That may be true to a certain extent. But even if you have found a book of prayers and there's something that's in there that appeals to you that you want to use to talk to a higher source of consciousness, may I remind you that none of it will matter if you are not connected within your heart to that higher source of consciousness. That avenue is open to everybody, but you have to be able to access it through the heart chakra. If your heart chakra is blocked with anger, with hatred, with anxieties, with all of the things that keep you from connecting, it's like getting a busy signal on the phone. You will not be able to get through to the extent that you could if you were to heal and release all of the things that are preventing you and stopping you from having that connection. That's one way of really focusing in on the importance of prayer. So when you go within and you pray, do so, but do so with an open heart, pleading your case. Maybe perhaps it's just showing gratitude. It doesn't always have to be in the form of asking for something. Then, one of the most important things that you can do after that is to take some moments in silence and be the witness to how the answers are going to come. Don't set about defining your own answers or finding your own answers or trying to shape and control it in the way that you think that it should come. Don't go about your daily life thinking that you can just go back into the world and resume your old ways and think that God is going to answer what it is that you have asked. This is where your presence is most important. This is where your observation is most important. Now, in Matthew 6:6, Jesus is specific. He says to go into the room or closet, and that means to go within yourself and shut the door. You're shutting the door of the mind and all of the senses of the body that have a tendency to keep us connected to what is happening out there. Pull all of that in so that you are centered in waiting within patience to hear the answer. Because that is what is most important. You asked something. And if you ask something, you need to await to hear what that is. And to do so means that you are pulling yourself into a place of solitude while you await whatever it is that higher consciousness wants you to know. Now, those are some aspects that you can put into play ASAP in order to connect to that higher consciousness, in order to hear the answers. But if you want to be able to do that, first and foremost, you have to become the silent witness. Much love and light.